There are stretches of human history that have simply vanished. Not lost to war, not buried by time, just gone. Centuries where millions of people lived, built, traded, and died, and left almost nothing behind. The gaps don't show up in textbooks, they're smoothed over. But when you look at the raw data, the archaeological record, the population estimates, the architectural timelines, something doesn't add up. Experts have theories, none of them fully work. And the more you dig into these missing centuries, the more it feels like we've been handed an incomplete story. By the end of this video, you'll understand why those gaps might be the most important part of history we're not being taught. Let's start with what we know. Human civilization, as we're taught it, follows a clean arc. Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, Greece, Rome, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, neat and linear. But archaeology keeps finding things that don't fit that arc. Structures that predate the civilizations that supposedly built them. Population collapses with no recorded cause. Entire cities abandoned overnight with food still on the tables. The mainstream explanation is usually the same: disease, climate change, war. And sometimes that's true. But sometimes those explanations are retrofitted to a gap that was already there. The gap came first, the explanation came later. Before I show you the first gap, take a guess. Which ancient civilization do you think disappeared most completely? No survivors, no records, no explanation? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll read them. Here's one example most people have never heard of. The late Bronze Age collapse, around 1200 BC, didn't just destroy one civilization. It wiped out almost every advanced society in the Eastern Mediterranean simultaneously. The Mycenaeans, the Hittites, the Ugarit, the Egyptian New Kingdom, all of them collapsed within a 50-year window. No single cause has ever been confirmed. Researchers have proposed earthquakes, drought, famine, and a mysterious group called the Sea Peoples. But the Sea Peoples themselves are a gap. We don't know who they were, where they came from, or where they went. They appear in Egyptian records, cause catastrophic damage, and then vanish completely. If this is already making you question what you thought you knew about the ancient world, you're going to want to stick around for what comes next. Hit subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. But the Bronze Age collapse is just one gap. There's another one that's even harder to explain, and it sits right in the middle of history most people think they understand. The early Middle Ages, roughly 500 AD to 900 AD, are sometimes called the Dark Ages. The name itself is a clue. It's not just that life was difficult, it's that the historical record itself goes dark. Literacy collapsed, written records almost disappeared, entire kingdoms rose and fell with barely a line of documentation. Here's what makes it strange. We have detailed records from Roman civilization right up until its fall. We have detailed records from the later medieval period, the 10th century onward. But the 400-year window in between is almost empty. Not thin, empty. For 4 centuries, one of the most populated regions on Earth produced almost no written record of itself. Some historians argue this is because the records were lost. Monasteries burned, libraries destroyed. That's partly true, but it doesn't explain why so little was produced in the first place. Even societies in crisis tend to leave something behind. Grain counts, tax records, religious texts. The Dark Ages left almost nothing. Stay with me, because what comes next is the part most historians actively avoid discussing. The explanation they reach for doesn't survive contact with the evidence. There's a third gap that almost nobody talks about in mainstream history, and this one is in a region that receives almost zero attention from Western historians. Central Asia, between roughly 200 AD and 700 AD, was home to some of the most advanced trade networks in the ancient world. The Silk Road ran directly through it. Entire cities existed solely to service that trade. Then, in a period of about 150 years, most of those cities were abandoned. Not conquered. Abandoned. Populations moved, trade routes shifted, and the cities themselves were swallowed by desert. When archaeologists began excavating them in the 20th century, they found streets, marketplaces, and homes that looked like people had simply walked out one day and never returned. The official explanation is climate change. The region became drier, but climate models don't fully support that timeline. The abandonment happened faster than any gradual climate shift could explain. So what's actually happening in these gaps? There are three competing frameworks that serious historians are now debating, and none of them are the version you learned in school. The first is what researchers call cascading systems failure. Civilizations aren't destroyed by single events. They're destroyed when multiple systems, agriculture, trade, governance, military, fail at the same time. The Bronze Age collapse fits this model. So does the fall of Rome. But cascading failure still doesn't explain why the documentary record disappears alongside the civilization. Records survive collapse. They survived every other collapse in history. Here's where I want to hear from you. Two theories. Theory A. These gaps are natural. Civilizations collapse, records get lost, and we're reading too much into the silence. Theory B. Something happened in these windows that someone at some point had a reason to erase. Comment A or B below. Genuinely curious. The second framework is deliberate erasure. This sounds like conspiracy theory, but there's documented precedent. The Roman Emperor Diocletian ordered the burning of Egyptian alchemical texts in 296 AD. The Spanish conquistadors deliberately burned Mayan codices in the 16th century. We lost an estimated 90% of all Mayan written records in a single campaign. Deliberate destruction of historical records has happened multiple times, in multiple cultures, by people in power who found the existing record inconvenient. The third framework is the most uncomfortable one. Some historians, not fringe researchers but academics with institutional affiliations, are now arguing that our dating systems themselves may contain compounded errors, that events we've placed in one century may have actually occurred in another, that the gaps aren't missing history, they're misplaced history. This theory, sometimes called the phantom time hypothesis, in its most extreme form, has been largely dismissed by mainstream academia. But the underlying question, whether our chronology of ancient history is fully reliable, is not dismissed. It's actively debated. Quietly, in journals most people never read. Remember what I told you at the start. There are stretches of human history that have simply vanished. The experts know this. The gaps are documented. The explanations don't fully hold. What that means is this. The story of human civilization that most of us were taught is a reconstruction, a best guess built on incomplete evidence, some of which may have been deliberately removed. The gaps aren't a failure of archaeology. They're the most honest thing the historical record has ever shown us, that we don't have the full picture. And here's the thing. New discoveries keep closing those gaps in unexpected ways. A site found in Turkey in 1994 pushed back the origin of organized religion by 6,000 years. A LiDAR scan in Guatemala in 2018 revealed a Mayan urban network 3 times larger than previously believed, hidden under the jungle the entire time. The gaps are closing, but what's filling them keeps rewriting everything. Next week I'm covering a story that rewrites what we thought we knew about one of the most documented events in history. You need to see it. Subscribe so you don't miss it.